Although several Bibles have recently been discovered, including the Dead Sea Scrolls and Gnostic Gospels, the Vatican appears to be disturbed about this latest one, particularly because it claims that Jesus was not crucified. Hey folks, welcome back to Dig World. We're here to bring you the most amazing discoveries from the archaeological world. Today, we'll show you how this 1,500-year-old Bible contradicts the current Bible. So, let's begin. A 1,500 to 2,000-year-old Bible discovered in Turkey has shocked the Vatican since it purportedly reveals that Jesus Christ was not killed, as is popularly believed. The narrative of Jesus' follower Barnabas is contained in the Bible, which was found in 2000 and held secret in Ankara's Ethnography Museum. The Gospel gives a thorough narrative of Jesus' life. It begins with Jesus' nativity, which includes the Archangel Gabriel's annunciation to Mary prior to Jesus' birth. The Gospel follows his ministry and concludes with Jesus' message to spread his teachings across the world. Judas Iscariot took Jesus' place at the crucifixion. The Gospel is preserved in two Middle Ages manuscripts in Italian and Spanish. It is one of three writings bearing Barnabas' name. The others are Epistle of Barnabas and the Acts of Barnabas, which are unrelated. According to the Gospel, Christ was neither crucified nor God's son. Instead, it claims he was merely a prophet. The book also refers to Apostle Paul as the impostor and states that Christ ascended to heaven alive, while Judas Iscariot crucified in his place. According to the National Turk, the now controversial book was discovered during an operation in the Mediterranean against a gang that smuggles antiques and illicit explosives. The antique book is presently worth 40 million Turkish liras, which is about $28 million. Experts and religious organizations have analyzed the book and all agree it's unique. It's obviously etched in the gold script in Aramaic, Jesus' native tongue. It comprises doctrines that coincide with Islam while opposing the Bible's New Testament. Jesus predicts the birth of Prophet Muhammad, the one who founded Islam 700 years later, in the book. The origins and authorship of the Barnabas Gospel have been questioned. Various possibilities and speculative, none have universal approval. Barnabas' Gospel was composed between the 14th and 17th centuries, far too late for Barnabas to have authored it. Many of its teachings are synchronous with those in the Quran and are in opposition to the Bible, particularly the New Testament. Nevertheless, some contradict them popular among Islamic defenders, who frequently use it to argue for Muhammad's prophethood and against Jesus' crucifixion, which, according to Islamic teachings, never occurred. Because its author is familiar with writings from this time period, the Gospel of Barnabas is most likely of late medieval or later provenance. According to researchers, the similarities to Dante Alighieri's early 14th century Divine Comedy support an Italian origin. Barnabas claims that God created 9 heavens, as opposed to the Quran's 7, and 3 times invokes Dante's catchphrase, De falsi e burgardi, which translates as false and lying gods. Others detect textual similarities between passages in the Gospel and late medieval vernacular harmonization of the canonical Gospels, which they attribute to a lost Vetus Latina version of the Diatessaron from the 2nd century. The Gospel is thought to have Spanish origins or links. Michael de Apalza, a Spanish professor, proposed that the Italian text was written by a Spaniard using Tuscan and Venetian dialects. According to Apalza, the author could have been a Spanish student at the University of Bologna during the Middle Ages, as Spaniards were popular students there. The work contains linguistic faults reflecting the author's lack of acquaintance with Italian. The Gospel of Barnabas may have been another Morosco fraud, according to the author David Fox, who wrote about Arabic Gospels forgeries produced in the 1588 by 2 Moroscos in Granada. Geographic, historical, and linguistic anachronisms abound throughout Barnabas' Gospel. According to the Rags, this demonstrates the book's medieval origins as well as the author's misunderstanding of 1st century Palestine. Pontius Pilate was reported to have ruled Judea in chapter 3, and Annas and Caiaphas were the high priests when Jesus was born. Pilate did not become governor until 2627 AD. Annas became high priest in 6 AD and was succeeded by his son-in-law Caiaphas in 18 AD. During his first century of Jesus' career, the Feast of Tabernacles was mentioned in chapter 15. The author mentioned the Cenophisia, which would also take place that year. In chapter 30, tabernacles and Cenophisia are synonymous. I am not the Messiah, Jesus claimed in chapters 42 and 96. The authors appear to be unaware that both the Greek Christ and the Hebrew Messiah imply the Anointed One. Nineveh was portrayed as being near the Mediterranean Sea in chapter 63, although it was actually 400 miles away in modern-day Iraq. A jubilee happens every 100 years, according to chapter 82. Actually, the Jewish jubilee comes every 50 years. In Barnabas' gospel, Jesus was not crucified. Judas Iscariot, whose face was not made to resemble Jesus, took his place on the crucifixion, and God elevated Jesus to heaven. This is consistent with the conventional interpretations of Ann Nisa 157-158, which state that Jesus was not crucified, but rather his doppelganger was. The Gospel, like the Quran, is thought to have been influenced by Docetism in its account of Jesus' crucifixion, heretical teaching that Jesus' human form was an illusion. According to David Sachs, the picture of Judas Iscariot in the Gospel of Barnabas is more sympathetic than that in the canonical Gospels, where he's presented as a malicious betrayer. In the Christian tradition, his name is synonymous with one who deceives under the pretext of friendship. According to Rags, the author of the Gospel attempted to fill this hole because the claimed substitution in the Quran is unidentified and unexplained. There's also a negative aspect to this. To be honest, there have been some doubts about the reliability of the Bible we use today. There is a school of thought that says the Catholic Church chose canonical Gospel books such as Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John during the Council of Nicaea, omitting the book of Barnabas on purpose, presumably due to its position on Jesus Christ. Although other Bibles have been discovered in recent years, including the Dead Sea Scrolls and Gnostic Gospels, the Vatican appears to be concerned about this latest one, particularly because of its assertions concerning Jesus. What does the discovery imply for modern Christians? It undoubtedly calls into question the veracity of the Christian Gospel. Worried that the book's contents could disturb the Christian faith, the Vatican has asked Turkish authorities to allow them to review it. Although the discovery is unlikely to have a significant impact on the beliefs of billions of Christians around the world, it's likely to damage Christian authority, particularly that of the Vatican. The fact that the book was not written by Muslims puts the Vatican on a tightrope. If people discover that the piece is genuine, the Catholic faith will be completely transformed. So, that was it for today, guys. We hope you enjoy our content. Like and share the video if you did. Subscribe to Dig World, Unrevealed Finds of the Universe, for many more amazing videos. Stay tuned, as we'll be back soon with another informative video for your amusement. Till then, keep digging.